There's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tweet thanking Tom Brady. This is a real thank you. Usually we see the thank you from a team account when they fired someone. This is the thank you, Tom Brady, for putting asses in the seats for 3 years and also for winning a Super Bowl. A thank you from the Patriots for winning 6 of them during his time with the team. There was actually a rumor floated at one point this year that maybe he'd go back to New England for one more ride, which would have been something. I am going to miss him not being part of the game. He's a great player. It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch him in prime time. It's fun to watch him slip into that old school Tom Brady no huddle mode when he's down multiple scores in the fourth quarter and he gets it done. We saw that a couple of times this year. The game will be different without him. So, Chris, with that said, let's have a draft of the best moments of Tom Brady's illustrious NFL career. As always, you're up first.
All right. Well, I think the one that we got to go to right off the bat is 28-3, right? That's the first pick. I mean, again, there's his whole career. We could probably have 2 drafts here, but 28-3, become not only that comeback, the greatest Super Bowl comeback in the history, but also put him as the quarterback, the first one to win 5 Super Bowls. So that was like a double whammy, and then you add on, some of the Deflategate circumstances around that. Man, that was one of the all-time, kiss my butt moments. I'm the freaking man in the history of sports. So that's the first one I go to. Tom Brady, 28-3 is my first pick.
And I remember being at that game after he threw the pick 6 in the first half,
right,
and he's sitting there dejected on the turf, and I thought, wow, he is mortal. And then it started, and it started. And that's the most memorable sporting event I've ever been present for, and I doubt that it's going to be topped. I hope I live long enough that it will be topped, but that was something. And that was, I remember saying at the time, the perfect opportunity to go get the ball after the game and stick it in Roger Goodell's stomach and say, put this in your trophy case, just like Paul Crewe at the end of The Longest Yard, both versions, first and second, because it was the culmination of the season where he missed the 4 games due to the Deflategate suspension. All right. For me, it's the first moment, the first big moment, the Tuck Rule game, the snow globe, the game that started it all. I mean, yes, he had played well enough during that regular season after Drew Bledsoe was injured to put the Patriots in position, but that was the moment the dynasty was born in New England, in that snowy evening. And the Tuck Rule that wasn't, and the game-winning field goal, that was when the legend of Tom Brady really started to take root. And it's still something to see it now. I'll never forget watching that game that night as we all came to grips with the fact that, kind of like Brock Purdy this year, this Tom Brady guy is going to be a pretty good quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, it's the clutch comebacks they had that year. He kind of seemed like he was unflappable. There was nothing you could do to bother him. That was the start. You're right. That was the start. And maybe a little bit of a, shamrock up the butt right there to help start it out. But either way, they took advantage of all their opportunities after that. But I would agree that's probably the first, marquee TV moment that you think about maybe with Tom Brady in a lot of ways, especially at the early part of his career. All right, my next pick, I think I'm going to go to Super Bowl 49. I'm going to go to Super Bowl 49 against the Legion of Boom in Arizona, right, against the Seattle Seahawks, all of that. To be down, what were they down, 20-10, if I have that right? I believe
24-14 in the fourth quarter.
That's what it was.
24-14.
Knew it was 10 points. To be down 24-14 to that group right there, and then again, that was a day where not only was that a special comeback against a special defense, but he was on the cusp of going, wait, I started off 3-0 in Super Bowls, and here I am going to be 0-3, right? And instead, they get the win. All right, Malcolm Butler makes the play, but either way, that puts him in Terry Bradshaw, Joe Montanaville for 4 Super Bowls. That was a special moment. That really was. To come back on that defense and win that Super Bowl, that was really remarkable.
I'm going to go to the entire 2007 season when the Patriots became the first team to go 16-0, and Tom Brady threw 50 touchdown passes. He had Randy Moss and Wes Welker. But that was kind of the year. And yes, they had won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. They lost in the divisional round in 2005 to the Denver Broncos. But that was the year he kind of became. And 2006, they lost to the Colts. They were up big, remember, in the AFC Championship.
21-6.
But 2007 was the year he became a superhero, that it was larger than life, that this is, I mean, holy crap, and this guy's going to keep going, and he's going to be great. And he became, more and more and more of a passer, not just a guy who's managing the game and making the big throw at the right time, but he became kind of next level, big numbers quarterback, and they won every single game, and they blew everybody out. There were no horseshoes up the butt that year. They pretty much blew everyone out, except maybe that Ravens game. Remember that Ravens game?
There's a Ravens
on a Monday
game,
night, and
an
then
Eagles game, and the Giants game at the end of the year.
And then the Giants game.
Yeah. Right. That was it. And I was at that Giants game. And that was the year after I had lost my spleen, so I was on IR, and I was in the NFL for 3-4 years at that point, and I was like, I'm going to go to the damn game and watch Tom Brady. To your point, I'm going to see if he can break this record and see if they can go 16-0. That was a special team. It was a special night. Throws the bomb down the right sideline to Randy Moss, right, to break the record. Certainly, not shy of the big moments. And I think that's why my last one, damn, and there's so many good ones here to pick. But I don't know how I don't pick the Super Bowl win with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. To go there, right? First year, Bucks. Not a team that's traditionally winning consistently, all that, to go there and then beat the defending Super Bowl champions and Patrick Mahomes in that game, that was just crazy. That was the first time ever we thought, wait, it's possible for a quarterback in the first year to go somewhere and win the Super Bowl? I thought you need time to learn a system and the team's got to get used to each other. Just another great, great moment in the greatest career we've ever seen.
And, God, where else do you go from here? Have we done the first Super Bowl win over the Rams?
That's what I was going to say. The last drive, that's what I was going back for. He dethroned the greatest show on turf, right? And went and out-clutched Kurt Warner at the end of a game, right? That would probably be my next one. If you want to take it, go ahead.
Yeah, and so that's the one I'm taking because there's only 3 rounds.
Right.
You had me thinking that was one of your picks, and I was not remembering it was one of your picks, but it wasn't. So Super Bowl 36, and I remember vividly, and it's funny now to hear it, and I can't fault John Madden for it. John Madden was saying we should just play for overtime at this point.
Right.
And Brady's like, the hell with that. And that's that Joe Burrow mindset. These moments are too few and far between. Some rise to the occasion and some don't. Brady rose to the occasion. He gave us a glimpse then of what he was going to become throughout the course of his entire NFL career, which is now officially over. And this time we think he means it. By the way, 80 for Brady premiering in theaters nationwide this weekend. More PFT Live right after this. So we know how this day is going to go, and we know how the next 5 years will go. Tom Brady, destined. This is one of those where there won't even be a conversation. And some would say those are the only ones who should get in the Hall of Fame. If you need to have a debate, it's like that old thing, if you have to ask how much it is, you can't afford it. If you have to argue whether or not the guy should get in, he shouldn't get in. The only ones who should get in are the ones, of course it would be a pretty small Hall of Fame, but this is the one that we talk about, the Deion Sanders Hall of Fame, the Hall of Fame within the Hall of Fame. Maybe that's what they should do, have a Hall of Fame within the Hall of Fame, the guys for whom there is no debate, and Tom Brady would be the captain of that team.
Definitely would be. I mean, gosh, it's. I would imagine that. I think, before he's gone or whatever, that they're going to be a special wing in the Hall of Fame for Tom Brady. Regardless, he deserves to be in that Deion Sanders part of the Hall of Fame with a real gold jacket and all that. Like you're saying, you're right. These are Ray Lewis, Deion Sanders, Reggie White, Lawrence Taylor, Peyton Manning, right? Those guys are your own spot. But Brady might be so big that he literally might have his own section. That's how big we're talking about. And Brady is the first guy, I think, at the NFL level, Mike, and you can please correct me if I'm wrong. Again, we're just going off the top of our heads here. Nobody's become a world star out of the NFL like Tom Brady. He's the first world star the NFL has had, in my opinion.
I think you're right. And I really do believe, and I'm starting to come to terms with an idea that I'm going to put out there at some point into the ether. There really should be like a Gods of Football. Some name like that.
I'm down with that.
I don't know. But a room a room within the Hall of Fame that is reserved for the busts of the guys where you don't even have a debate. Everyone knows. There can be no debate. These are the guys.
Oh, we should have drafted this moment, Mike. This was an all-time great.
He goes into the Hall of Fame,
Weekend at Bernie's Brady.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.